Now to politics, several big money Republican donors say they're unhappy with the current crop of GOP presidential candidates. But Republican voters will have to decide this race. And CBS News political correspondent Jan Crawford is in Washington with a look at how they really feel about the race at this time. Jan, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Yeah, we thought this field was pretty well settled, but then Texas Governor Rick Perry had that big stumble in last week's debate, and that, of course, has started Republican insiders talking again and again about finding yet another candidate to get in this race. But the polls show that this kind of thing happens almost every presidential election.
How are you? Good morning.
Campaigning across the country, the candidates who are actually running for president, like former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, downplay all this talk about someone else.
I think we recognize that it's very important we get this right. And I appreciate the fact that it's taking a lot of careful consideration. In the final week or two, it's going to really narrow down and people will decide who's the person who will have the best shot of replacing President Obama.
That may be because none of this searching and hand-wringing is new. In nearly every presidential election, voters at this stage are dissatisfied with their choices, often when they are trying to beat an incumbent. In the latest CBS News poll, just 43% of Republican voters say they are satisfied with the field. But around this time in 2003, only 40% of Democratic voters were satisfied with their choices to unseat President Bush. Senator John Kerry lost to Bush, but voter dissatisfaction early on doesn't always mean a loss in the general election. In 1991, Democrats were begging top politicians like Senator Ted Kennedy or New York Governor Mario Cuomo to jump in. Only 18% of Democratic voters were satisfied with their options, which at the time included an obscure Arkansas governor, Bill Clinton.
Now, of course, Cuomo and Kennedy never got in that race, and that second-string candidate, Bill Clinton, became a two-term president. Chris?
Jan, as we get closer to the primaries, what is an actual cutoff date for a candidate, potential candidate like a Chris Christie to get in? There's got to be a time where you just can't, it's just too late in the game.
That's right, and it is right around the corner. I would say at about 6 weeks, and that's because you're going to have these filing deadlines in key states like Florida and South Carolina to get their names on the ballot. So these guys, Chris Christie, Sarah Palin, they're going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later, which means, of course, all this talk is going to stop soon enough.
Like you said in the graphic you showed in the piece there, this perceived dissatisfaction with the current Republican field. Is this just primary politics, or does this make candidate Obama kind of lick his chops thinking he's got a real advantage here?
Great question. It's primary politics. It happens almost every 4 years, as all these polls show. And the lesson here, I think what's important to keep in mind, is that these candidates who are in this race right now are going to look a lot stronger as this race goes on over the next few months. More debates. They're going to be tested. So the eventual nominee is going to look like the nominee.
All right. CBS's Jan Crawford in Washington for us this morning. Jan, thanks. Good to talk with you.